Everyone, my name is Coral Clark, and today I'm going to be walking you through a hands-on logic lesson that is geared towards supporting English language learners in the elementary math classroom. This lesson focuses on helping students make sense of math logic, things like identifying statements, working with truth values, negation, and contrapositives, while also giving them strong language support. The goal here isn't just to teach logic, but just to make sure ELL students can actively participate in math conversations, explain their thinking, and feel confident doing so. And I've also included a student handout to go along with this, so there should be a copy available for download. All right, before jumping in, I want to briefly talk about why the math can be challenging for English language learners. Obviously, one of the big issues is language accessibility. Math uses a lot of specific vocabulary and complex sentence structures, especially in word problems and instructions. So even when students understand the math, the language can still get in the way. Cultural differences can also play a role. Students may be unfamiliar with US math conventions or may have learned different problem-solving strategies in previous classrooms. And sometimes it's just gaps in instructions, which has less to do with ability and more to do with access and opportunity. So for this lesson plan in particular, our goal is to lower the language barriers so that students can focus solely on the concepts themselves. So here's a quick overview of the 4 interactive logic stations. Each station focuses on a different reasoning skill, identifying statements, deciding truth values using quantifiers, practicing negation, and working with conditionals and contrapositives. Students can work in small groups and rotate through the stations using task cards, visuals, and sentence frames to guide their discussions. So here's what it looks like in the classroom. The teacher will set up 4 stations with task cards and matching sentence frames. Students work in small multilingual groups of 3 and rotate roles at each station. One student acts as the explainer, one is the builder, and one is the checker. These roles help structure both the math logic and the use of language. Sentence frames and visuals are encouraged throughout the activity, so students are consistently explaining why they made a choice and not just what the answer is. And then at the end, each group will share one example with the class, which opens the door for a whole class discussion around logic and reasoning. Okay, so sentence frames are actually a key part of this lesson, so I want to go over that real quick. Sentence frames are basically fill-in-the-blank sentences that help students use academic language without having to come up with everything on their own. All students use them, but they're especially helpful for ELLs during group discussions. Students will use the sentence frames right after making a decision, like sorting a sentence or choosing true or false, so that the focus stays on explaining their reasoning. This will keep cognitive load low while giving students lots of practice with academic language and logical thinking. Alrighty, so let's go over each station in a little more detail. The first station focuses on identifying statements versus non-statements. Using a playground theme, students will sort sentence cards into statements, which can be true or false, and non-statements like opinions or wishes. The explainer reads the sentence aloud, the builder explains whether it's a statement using the sentence frame, and the checker makes sure the explanation makes sense. The station helps students really pin down what counts as mathematical statement in like a low pressure familiar context. And by the way, these themes are totally just for fun. So they're completely flexible, and I would even encourage you to change them as needed to fit your students, your community, your culture, etc. All right, in the second station, students work with truth values and quantifiers like all and some, using food-related examples. Students decide whether a sentence is true or false and explain how the quantifier affects the meaning. The explainer points out the keywords, the builder explains the group's decision using the sentence frame, and the checker confirms that the logic matches the language used. The station builds precision in both reasoning and academic vocabulary. The third station focuses on negation, creating the logical opposite of a statement. Students work with community-based examples. and rewrite sentences to form the correct negation. The explainer reads the original sentence, the builder states both the original and the opposite using the sentence frame, and the checker verifies that the negation is logically correct. And this will help students understand that negation is about meaning and not just about adding the word not. The final station introduces conditional statements and contrapositives. Students start with an if-then statement and work together to create its contrapositive while also seeing why reversing the statement doesn't preserve the logic. The explainer reads the conditional, the builder uses the sentence frame to create the contrapositive, and the checker confirms that the logic is still intact. And even though this is a little bit more of a challenging concept, the visual sentence frames and group roles should make it more approachable for elementary learners. All right, so yeah, overall, this lesson kind of shows how language support and logical reasoning can work together in the math classroom. And by using visuals, sentence frames, and flexible, culturally responsive themes, teachers can create spaces where English language learning students are actively reasoning, talking, and learning alongside their peers. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope this gives you all a strategy that you can easily adapt for your own classroom, and have a wonderful rest of your day.